Hello. Welcome back to the Bible Study Girl podcast. This is Sarita, but you probably know me as Bible Study Girl. And the first hello you heard was from the executive producer of this podcast, Bible Study Brother.
It is I, Bible Study Brother, also known as Icarus Gray, over at Gray Area Anime. But this is the most wonderful podcast of your day. And we've got something to say. Enjoy the fact that it's getting colder outside, and go listen to Honeysuckle Summer, the new single by Icarus Gray, on all the streaming platforms to get you a little warm, get you feeling ready for summer if you're a summer lover, so you can get ready for it to come back around. I don't know, I'm bombing here.
You are, but that's okay. I'm here to kind of help you out, bro. Oh, welcome back, guys. We're still in our blog recap series, and today's blog that we're going to discuss is entitled One Bite at a Time. You can head over to BibleStudyGirl.com, click the magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner, and type in the words "one bite at a time." It will take you straight to the blog so that you guys will be able to read about the blog that we're discussing today. The way the blog recap works is that Bible Study Brother tries as succinctly as possible to tell you about what he thought when he read the blog, what emotions it brought up. And some days, guys, it brings up emotions that last and last and last and last. And then I come in and I say what I was thinking at the time that the blog was published, and I bring you up to date with my current feelings on the blog. Sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same, but I will guarantee, for me personally, I walk away, changed every time we have one of these discussions, because it challenges me and it makes me think and dig deeper. And that's the whole point of this here podcast, to give us an opportunity to go a little farther and a little deeper than the detail you get when you read those blogs over at BibleStudyGirl.com. So, little brother, take it away today.
So, One Bite at a Time is about the origin of my favorite phrase that I've ever heard from my sister, whom she heard from someone else, which basically asks you, can you eat an elephant? A lot of people off the cuff will be like, nah. And then the response is, but you can. You just have to do it one bite at a time. And so I use that all the time. It's a mantra I say to myself when I'm looking at the mountain of things that I need to do, or things that are in front of me to be successful. I can't think about the wholeness of whatever it is. I got to think about, what can I do right now in this moment to go towards success. And the other part of what I got from this, because I already knew that, because that's, again, like I told y'all, it's my mantra. But the secondary part of what I've gotten from this, and what I hope you all take, is remembering that mistakes and failure happen along the line, period. And that too is okay. It doesn't negate what you've done. It doesn't pull you back. So often we lead with that rhetoric of, if you fall, if you make a mistake, well, now you're back at square one, and you're not. You still have the experience of your steps forward, and your fall allows you to even know more about yourself and taking those steps forward. Most commonly in working out, we think that, if like we stop working out for a year, like, bro, I still got workouts and things that I can use tomorrow. I wouldn't be starting at square one. I would just be jumping into that, or jumping into a diet that I can add on to that, and getting more and more components. And with where we are right now in our podcast journey, what we're building towards, and the things that we want, I just think it's one bite at a time. I got an album coming out. It's one bite at a time. It's one post at a time. It's one video at a time. With all of the things that we want to do, you just got to keep doing it. Consistency is key, and I'm working on unlocking it. And that's ultimately what I got from this blog post, is just understanding where you are. Stop making mountains out of molehills. And if it is a mountain, one step, bro. One step. You can make it to the
Oh,
top.
look at
One step.
you.
Okay. Look at me. And I'm done.
You're finished?
Yeah, that's it.
This is what I like to call a record. Uh, this is a miracle. You know how Jesus turned that water to wine? This,
Ah!
I mean, it is like I I they say faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I have just seen something and heard something that I did not think was possible. Brother, round of applause. Cue it up. You you deserve all that applause. That was, you know, last podcast was like long story short, like three times. In this podcast, you're like, I see your challenge, accepted. I'm gonna make it succinct. But I think you brought up some great points. When I wrote the blog, here's the thing. I love to write. Writing is in me. It is something natural. I can sit down and spit something out with the help of the Lord. The continual writing, a new blog every day was a challenge. And it felt like an elephant because the Lord hadn't given me a release date. He hadn't said, okay, I want you to write every day and then you'll get a break in a month. It wasn't that. It was every day. I just want you to write. And that is like what my brother said was a mountain for me. It was a one step at a time mountain, but it was a mountain and not even being able to see the top of the mountain to know how far I have to go. So not only does he want me to write this blog every day, but he's also challenging me, I feel, calling me to write a book that is separate from this blog. So every day you want me to sit down, you want me to spend time with you. That's separate from blog writing. You just want me to spend time with you. I have a full-time job, I have other responsibilities, but you want me to spend time with you every day. You want me to sit down and write this blog every day. And you want me to write a book on top of that? Talk about an elephant, talk about something that's too big, that's larger than me. So at the time that I sat down to write the blog, I very distinctly remember him telling me, yes, a lot of things, and I'm asking a lot of you, but those are all things that you can do. I put it in you. I made you. I created you with this in mind. So I need for you to do it. And so I was feeling very overwhelmed. But at the same time, I think privileged that you think enough of me that you want me to do this. Um, and so, when all the losses happened last year, I really did do I called myself stepping away from God. He never left me, but I was like, I think we need a break from each other. Which also meant that I took a break from writing the blog. I literally had nothing. I was on empty. I will say one thing about the blog at the point that I published one bite at a time, I was able to write and I was able to give every day because I was giving from my overflow. I was full. God had put so much into me, and I had so much that I needed to pour out. Then we fast forward to last year. Well, I reached a season I'm not even full. You know what I'm saying? And what I did have has been poured out and spilled on the ground. So I don't have anything. I don't have anything to give. I don't have anything to say because I'm empty. So that has been a challenge for me as well when I think about writing the book, because I feel like that's still a calling. I still have a book to write. I still have blogs to write every day. But currently, I'm in a season where I'm trying to get filled back up because I went so long without having connection, without talking to God, without keeping our relationship strong, without learning new things, without taking in the word. I wasn't going to church. I was not only because it was a pandemic, but I wasn't even listening to sermons. Sunday became another day for me. It wasn't what it had always been all of my life. So I think this season of my life, it is a renewal and it is an opportunity for me to start to bite that elephant, to take on the bigger tasks, the bigger things in life. But in order to be able to do that, I have to be continually being fed. And let's say it's been the last, 2 or 3 months that I've been going to church regularly. And so you don't get a blog every day. I'm still trying to get from what do you call it? I'm trying to stop being malnourished. Is that the word?
In terms of underfed,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm trying to I'm trying to get to a level where I'm just healthy. And so I do know those are things that God still has for me, that God still wants me to do. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege that He gave me the gift and that He wants me to use it. I'm just in a space now and in a period where I'm trying to get nourished. Occasionally, there are instances when I get a word and it's so good and I'm so filled to the top. I can't help but share it. I can't help but sit down and write like this really helped me. This really blessed me. And that doesn't mean that all the word I don't get is good. I think all the word that he's provided for me has been good, but to be in a space and a place where I can share it with people has been a bit of a struggle. And so I'm working my way into being able to serve without going under, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. I mean, it's connecting to the source, and it's remembering that you have a source. It's remembering that when God gave us these gifts and things, that He didn't say shoulder everything. He didn't say you have to do everything in a day. He didn't say that it wouldn't be hard this day. He just said, I'm asking you to go, and I will, open the doors uh, for blessings and abundance and all of these different promises that are scripturally given to us to just follow God, especially walking in purpose. Um, and I think with everything that we do, especially with this podcast, growing and trying to be more intent. I mean, you can see our journey in these episodes. Like a lot of times, I know I was so hungry for a conversation. A lot of times, if I'm going over when I talk too long, I'm normally in a state of like hunger or like everything like starts to make sense. God is putting together a tapestry that is, oh man, that's why this and that's why this and these things fit together. And that's what happens every time I read a blog post. And I hope that that's something that's happening for you all, where a new power has been unlocked within you because you took a step and just listening or taking a moment with us. Just taking that first bite is often the hardest because you may have cut a big piece, a bigger piece than what you thought you should have cut. But that lets you realize, hey, you can still cut it smaller. Like, I never told you you had to eat that way.
And I've also said this before, but I think it rings more and more true each time we do a podcast. Like each time we have to talk about something that I wrote about in the past, it's a challenge for me in the present day. It reminds me of things God said to me or promises God made to me. And it challenges me to work on that present day. Who knew when I published this in 2019 that it would be something that I continue to struggle with, something that I continue to deal with? And it's literally a very timely, like I've been praying to God and asking him for revelation and asking for him to speak clearly to me and to get to a point where every podcast and every discussion that we have is something that's ringing true in my life and something he's still trying to work out in me. Lets me know that we're on purpose, lets me know that we're on task. And it continues to encourage me to be obedient. Now, like I was talking to my therapist the other day, that's not always easy. And I was discussing with him the fact that I have so many resources on hand, and that's great, but I don't use those resources. So how great really is that? Like I know I can tap into this or I can tap into that. I can use this, I can use that, but I don't do it. So that's not really helpful and it's not really useful. And so right now I'm battling with being able to fully take advantage of every resource that the Lord has provided to me. There are so many areas of my life that I need to work on, but they are those elephant things. Like every area of my life that I need to address is an elephant. It's not an easy fix, it's not a simple fix. So I definitely need this reminder that, and he told me the same thing, one step at a time, one day at a time, one decision at a time. You can do it. These are all things you can do, with the power of Christ that strengthens you, but you have to make these decisions every single day. And every time this situation comes up, here's a good resource for you to use with your anxiety. This is something you can do. Um, like I have the resources, but I have to be intent, focused, tuned in, and making sure that every time the opportunity presents itself, that I'm taking the step. I'm taking that bite. I may not feel like eating it that day, but I know I need to. So I'm going to have to chew it up and swallow it and take the next bite because there are bigger things. There are bigger things at play. And he also encouraged me not to get discouraged by the enormity of the task, but to just keep walking one step at a time. Don't get discouraged by looking at how big the task is, but just one step at a time. And so I definitely needed this encouragement, and I'm sure somebody else does too. And I think it's harder for me because I am a goal oriented person. Hey, this is where I want to be. And if it don't look like that, it ain't right, and it mean I ain't doing nothing, like in every area of my life. And I'm not talking about the podcast. I'm talking about like my relationships with people, my finances, my relationship with Christ, my health, all those things.
And I think another big thing to remember about all of these things, no matter if it's the first bite, something that we do sometimes is we'll reset, like I was saying earlier, how much we think we've eaten. So something that's really not a mountain, we've made into a mountain because of how long we, walked away from the plate. The thing that we have to remember, God equips us. He doesn't say, hey, this is the thing I want you to do, and you have nothing. You're equipped to do these things. You're equipped to be in a position to learn and garner more skills to help you climb the mountain. You're equipped with a fork, a knife, a napkin to wipe your mouth if things are getting a little bit messy. You're equipped with the fact that there's a plate warmer to keep that food or whatever it is that you're trying to take down in a place that is still appetizing and nourishing. It might not always taste the best because there are some bitter truths within trying to take down the purpose that God hands you, but you have the equipment to understand what you're doing and how you're going to progress through these trials and tribulations of life. You have others. You are not in a restaurant alone. It might be your purpose, but there are, people in Christ, friends that are close to you, and other things, and even prayer that can help you on the days where you feel just empty and, like you said earlier, malnourished. Remember that he does not give us more than we can handle, and he does not set us on a path that he has not equipped us for or
That's
is
so
laying out
true.
the equipment. Um,
That is so true. But we have to be willing to use what he's given us. And you were talking about how he'll place people in your life. That is one thing that my therapist challenged me with. He was like, we were talking about a specific area of my life that I need help. And he's like, oh, well, why don't you ask so and so? Because they're skilled in this area. They can help you, they can help hold you accountable. I think that's one thing that I've discussed on the show. As a single person, I I make all of my decisions on my own. There's nobody here to hold me accountable. And so I have to reach out to find that accountability with other people. But here's the thing, your girl likes to do things her way. Doesn't mean it's the right way, doesn't mean it makes sense, doesn't mean it's the healthiest thing. But I feel like, I need to do it on my own. It's a pride thing. It's a stubbornness thing. It's all these things. But like I said to my therapist, like, I do not want to do what you just told me to do. I also told him, and that's why I don't like therapy. But then I told him, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to stretch outside of what's comfortable for me because I want a full life. Like, I want a healthy life. I don't want to keep making the same mistakes, keep being in the same cycle, and then die and go to heaven. And Jesus be like, girl, I had so much more for you. Why didn't you use the resources, the people that I placed in your life to have a better life? Like, that's dumb. That's dumb, Sarita. Use the resources you have. And that required me pushing outside of myself and doing something that I really was not comfortable doing. But what's the goal? The ultimate goal for me, and I've said it many times on this podcast, is to be whole, to be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, emotionally, in relationships with the people around me. And how do I get there? By eating those things that you talked about, Joe, that don't always taste good. They're bitter, but they're going to make me better.
mm, I think overall it's just remembering that God is never gonna have us do something that is not for our good, and not for the good of the kingdom. Uh,
Right. Even when it
Um,
doesn't feel good. And I think
yeah.
that's hard to remember. Like when all of our, well, I keep saying all, but when we lost so many family members so close together last year, for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else. It was hard for me to remember how God had been good. I would have moments where I would say, "Oh, thank you, God, that they didn't suffer long. Thank you that you took them." I would be thankful that they were with Him,
Hmm.
but it would be difficult for me to remember the other ways that God had been good to me because I was just stuck in a place um
Mm,
that wasn't good for me, wasn't healthy for me. And even in that, God was still good. He was still patient with me. And like, you gonna remember. You will remember and figure out how good I am again. Um so
um,
yeah.
I think for me, he, in terms of grief, he definitely um, was keeping me focused throughout, and I think that's, like in every portion of life. At the times where I know I can't. Everybody can't be falling to grief. Are the times where something happens for me, or he sets me on a path, um, way before everybody else a little bit. And I think that when he told me, "Hey, this is what I want you to do," and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna move across the country. Like, how? And he started me with that before the year that we were going to have, and there were these moments in time, like getting on the other side of the pandemic, working at a job that I couldn't stand spiritually. I just didn't feel like I was my best self, even if I was getting, more money than I had before, and I had opportunity to get more money than I had before. There were so many things that just made my life feel like there was a black cloud over it. But when he told me, hey, this is what I want you to do, I was like, okay. And then things started happening. I think it was within that year or around that time or at the beginning of the year, I accepted my call. And it's like these things started to kind of progress. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do with this. I don't have any idea how I'm supposed to tackle any of this. Like, I don't know if you're trying to throw me and have me have a church. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, but this is crazy. I mean, you knew what messenger to send to get me to realize you was for real talking to me, but every portion of this hill, this climb, this walking in purpose, as I keep saying, I don't know, it's just been life changing and trying to realize how he shifts people in their time.
You grow as you go.
Crazy.
You grow as you go. You don't necessarily. I don't have to know what it's going to look like at the end. I don't even know how. I don't have to know how I'm going to get there or how long it's going to take me. But I do have to trust the one that gave me the assignment. I have to eat it. I have to eat it one bite at a time.
You can do it, man. Like the same way that like on Monday through, excuse me, y'all, Sunday. Man, even more Sunday through Friday. Y'all gonna get a blog post, man. Or technically, there's enough blog posts that you could read literally from the start and be able to go for at least two strong years. If you wanted to read a blog post a day. If you want to just reach out, hit us up. You can go to Twitter at Bible Study Girl, the number 2, Instagram _ Bible Study Girl, our Facebook page, Bible Study Girl, as well as hitting our email at BibleStudyGirl2019@gmail.com. If you have any prayer requests or anything of that nature, the best way to get us to respond is to either hit the Facebook or the Gmail. And we'll make sure that we're praying for you and keeping you on our prayers, because we do not do this alone, people. We do this as a collective together, because that is what this journey is all about. And remember, man, it ain't the elephant that preach. It ain't the mountain, but we preach.
And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching. And you can also head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Bible Study Girl page. It's going to be coming up soon.
Right. Pretty soon. And by the time you get this episode, I have already had this meeting with Bible Study Girl. We're going to start putting shorts up. So that way y'all can get little teasers from us, of us just talking to you about what's coming. So be on the lookout for that. And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching.
Keep preaching.